episode 37 of the Fit Pro podcast.
But I think more so, a lot of times the things we do in life, it reflects what we need the most in our own personal, in our interpersonal feeling.
Reminder listeners, if you like what you hear today and you want to hear more, make sure you head to fitpropodcast.com for all my mobile people out there, and that's everybody moving around, being fit, being healthy. If you have an Apple device, you already have the podcast app installed. Search Fit Pro Podcast and subscribe. Perfect. You can also leave a review on there. It's real quick, real simple. 5 stars, thumbs up, nice, honest words. If you have an Android device, you are not left behind either. Podcast and Radio Addict, you're welcome. If you want to pay a little bit more, Pocket Casts, you're welcome. Let's get into today's episode with Kelly. You fit. Let's go. Welcome back to the Fit Pro Podcast, listeners. I'm your host, Marvin Fayes, and today we have a very special guest. We got Kelly Yu on the show. Now, Kelly he's basically an expert in self-love, body positivity, intuitive eating, binge eating recovery. She's very different from what we usually get on the show, but I feel like she's got an amazing story and amazing insights to share with us. Kelly, are you ready to go?
I am so excited. Let's go.
Perfect. We've had some struggles getting this all organized, but when we get it done, magic happens. So, Kelly, let the listeners know who you are personally, and then we'll get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in and being interested in this new story. So if I were to describe myself, I would say that I am the type of person who has gone through a lot of struggles, and the way I like to describe myself is I turn my struggles into strengths, and I began on Instagram 3 years ago and have created a very powerful social media presence, very fortunately, and I'm very grateful for it. It was all fitness before, and then I started realizing all these trends of not the most mentally healthy behaviors going on, and I know that from my experiences, we'll get into that further, I struggled a lot with body image and eating disorders and self-value my whole life, and I started seeing a lot of my peers in the social media community experiencing the same, so I started wanting to talk about it, and the reception has been incredible.
Perfect, Leah. Kelly, thanks for... I was actually just looking at that Leah Tao thing real quick. Talked about it before. Apparently, listeners, I am the male version of Leah Tao.
If you guys want a great podcast, obviously besides this one, it is called Strangers, and the woman Leah Tao has the most amazing calming voice, and I was telling Marvin that he basically is her.
I love that. I will tell my girlfriend that.
You should.
Take that. Awesome, Kelly. So, what is it that you do at the moment, basically, in your day-to-day life, and how does this transition into what you do on social media?
In my day-to-day life, I have a really amazing job. I'm an academic researcher at a university in Illinois, and basically I am researching childhood health and development, and I'm specifically focusing on all the factors that contribute to childhood obesity, like social environment, eating behaviors, weaning practices, all things like that, and it's interesting that I kind of don't perfectly align it with what I do in my personal life, but I think everything kind of is a common thread when you kind of see the different aspects of your life. I mean, in my job, I meet with different participants and families every day, and I learn how to be compassionate towards them, and also learning about factors of health can always be beneficial when I apply them to me too. But I don't know, I haven't really needed to connect them as much. I like to keep the different parts of my life kind of different, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I totally understand that, and I feel like it helps you sort of commit 100% to both. Be present in each moment, basically. And I think, I think people can be more present in what they're currently doing. So that's always good. And let's get into the meat of today's show. So when it comes to you and what you do on social, especially when it comes to your self-love, body positivity, intuitive eating, binge eating, recovery. Now, why do you preach self-love?
To be honest, I preach self-love, and I started preaching self-love because I didn't have any. Um, at the age of 10, I became anorexic, and I basically starved myself for about 8 months and lost like 40 pounds and, became the tiniest, frailest, boniest version of myself. And after that, my family, peers around me had no idea on how to treat that in a healthy way, so we just decided that gaining weight was the way to go. And without a proper recovery from that type of thing, it's not a physical body gaining weight type of issue. It's a mental struggle, and I just had no idea what it was. And basically, I just started these cycles of binging, restricting my whole life. And, we all have dysfunction in our families, and that definitely contributed to this eating disorder. And until I reached college, my junior year, and I went on Instagram and found this fitness community, I honestly had no idea what an eating disorder was.
Yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
What's that?
And look, so you did start in the fitness space, but you've sort of distinguished yourself very, very, put yourself in your own lane, in your own niche. And what made you decide to do that? Did you just see that there's so much body negativity out there that somebody needs to change it?
Definitely that, but I think more so a lot of times the things we do in life, it reflects what we need the most in our own personal, in our interpersonal feelings. And at the time where I started opening up about my struggles to my followers, which was only probably about like a year or a year and a half ago, I think it was when I couldn't take it anymore. I don't think that it was me not being my true self all the time, but there's a big part of me that was didn't know what was going on with me, and I was working through depression and being so unhappy with my body and really struggling with food and over exercise and all things like that. And I was like, if Instagram is supposed to be your personal journal, and also I am seeing a lot of people probably struggling the same as me, I need to kind of integrate that. I feel like I need to be genuine in all parts of my life now, just not privately dealing with this.
Yeah, 100%. And look, when I look at your Instagram page, I see a lot of food. I see a lot of good food. You look like a person that enjoys their food, but at the same time, you're also very fit. You're
Thank
very,
you.
you definitely are a fitness Instagrammer, because your body looks great.
Thanks.
But you see all this food as well, and you're like,
it can right.
Yeah.
It can really piss people off and confuse them. It's like, what is this sorcery?
Like, I just look at one of those waffles and I gain weight. And look, I'm a flexible dieter. That's
Right.
how I eat. I do flexible dieting and intermittent fasting. That's me. But when you look at the spread, like, you've got a spread on there of just delicious. It's making me hungry. I'm supposed to be going to bed in a few hours. It's making me hungry. I need to go get some waffles.
I think it's my morning. You're talking about. I can go ahead and just go ham. Yeah,
sure.
With regards to, I get those comments a lot, and it's funny that a lot of even like my sister's friends will, a lot of people end up finding out about my page, and I very much, talk about it a lot more, but sometimes we'll just find it and talk about it to other people, like my sister, and they're like, hey, Kelly is supposed to eat only healthy, like, why is she posting all this bad food? And that kind of gets me, not in an angry way, but I just remember when I was really struggling with my relationship with food and my relationship with my body, and really thought the only way to achieve a healthy and strong and muscular or even like lean physique was to eat basically nothing or just eat crappy food. And it took me a long time to find this balance, like to really be able to eat foods that are socially labeled as unhealthy and just integrating them as a normal food because I do enjoy them. And it really takes a lot of time and effort to repair that relationship with food. For everyone, I think even if someone doesn't have an eating issue, like you go on and see a Yahoo article, it says 10 foods you should never eat. It's just that stuff really gets to me because they don't realize that is contributing to a lot of unhealthy eating viewpoints.
Yeah, for sure. And the previous podcast of this that we just recorded, I was speaking to another girl, Laura Conlon.
Oh, she's fantastic. I really look up to her. Very cool.
So we just had her. I just had her on the show literally 10 minutes ago. Well, before we jumped on, so she was just on the show. But yeah, she definitely also preaches like your flexible eating, and I preach that as well.
Yeah.
And when you restrict something, generally it doesn't tend to work or stick. You get a lot of coaches in the fitness space. You get a lot of people that give advice on, no, you need to do A, B, and C, and that's all you can do. And you have to eat your steamed veggies and your chicken. And oh my God, that drives me insane.
Me too.
There's
so,
more
there's
than one.
a time and a place for everything. It's just nothing, like you said, the restrictions shouldn't be a part of it. Any rules that feel like you can't, there's no way around it, it will make you feel really suffocated when it comes to eating. And that just always spirals usually into something of a binge, or, not always, but that's pretty common.
Yeah. 100% agree there. And when you look, you've got this massive Instagram following, and you just told me you've been doing it for a year. Is that right?
No, I've been doing it for 3 years, so it's been a while.
I was gonna say 55,000 in a year. That's insane.
That would be super exciting. Yeah, and also in regards to the numbers and such, they obviously, for all of us who do utilize social media, it is the goal to grow a following. But to me, and I'm sure a lot of people really do feel this way, when we want our numbers to grow, it only means that I want to help more people. It's never about what I get out of it. I think at some point it always is like, you want to get something out of it. You want your name out there, you want notoriety, but at this point, seeing the response that's come from me sharing all this advice and really rawness when it comes to mental health, all I ever want to do is just help more and more people. And I feel like I've been really lucky to do that as the number grows. It's pretty incredible how that works even. I mean, the internet blows my mind.
And there's a quote out there, I forget who by. I'm good with quotes, but I'm terrible with who they're by.
At least the words I think are more important. People can Google them.
Yeah, sure. I think you got to give the shout out as well to the.
I know.
But the quote being, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want.
Yes.
And when it comes to social media, that's very, very true. When you create great content that's helpful and that is constructive and that can generally help other people, it comes full circle. It definitely comes all the way back around. And I've run a few businesses online, and this podcast has to be one of the most rewarding, one of the most you get the most feedback from, like real time feedback. Do they like what I'm saying? The numbers show otherwise, sort of thing. So it is really, really good. And when it comes to what you do now, do girls approach you now and ask for advice?
Oh, definitely. And I sometimes have a guilt thing going on because I'll get so many, messages and comments and emails, daily, and I want to answer every one of them. And I usually always do, but I do always, but it sometimes takes me a lot of time. And the only reason for the delay in my response is because every single message I want to read, every word they tell me, because when I get a message from them, they'll tell me basically their whole life story. And also be just the sweetest human, telling me that I've been privileged to even touch them in that way and make them feel seen and heard and not alone. Sometimes when I get those messages where they say, I'm just bawling watching your video, and 2 days ago this one girl emailed me asking how she can download my videos so that she can have them with her wherever she goes. And that stuff just blows my mind and warms my heart to the nth degree. And like you said, it brings things full circle, because I really feel like the reason that I do this also, it feels like I can heal my old self. A lot of these girls are younger, and honestly, I've been able to, I don't know how, but inspire people much older than me too. So a lot of times I feel like I'm healing my old self because, no one was there to tell me these things when I was at my most vulnerable point. And if I can give them one sentence that even means something huge to them, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Especially, look, you're only 23, correct?
Yes.
Just imagine the legacy you're gonna leave. Like what when you when you when you
When I die.
you eventually, I don't want to say it when you eventually
Hey,
die, but
no, I mean, yeah, right? That's what legacy is when you're gone.
when you're gone. But like
Yeah.
at 23, I feel like, again, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would have sort of impacted so many lives right now, and not even just your job, your day job, and
Yeah.
what you do on Instagram. They almost very much go hand in hand, because one's research and finding out about people, and one's helping people. I really like that. And when it comes to the mental health side of things, and especially in America, is it better now than it was a few years ago, or is it worse?
I think, and thank you so much for all those really beautiful and thoughtful compliments. Those really touched me and kind of blew me away. Thank you.
Anytime, it's the voice. It's the voice.
I do really think that the trend of, at least in the U.S., is way, way more advanced and advancing than before. I think the ideas also around mindfulness, which is very important to me. I think mindfulness has been the way for me to deal with a lot of my issues when it comes to my body, food, all those things. And I think people are okay with talking about it. And even when, I think it's mostly a millennial thing, my generation, this generation is what's really thrusting it into the world and making it something that's becoming integrated into almost common culture and becoming a priority, not just like a taboo that people are okay with discussing. I think it's more just part of us now, like a part of a priority that we need, like good mental health and life fulfillment.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that, because I feel like people, they definitely, I almost knocked over my mic, but people definitely need to at least love themselves a lot more
Yes.
than they do. And it's I don't know how to put it, but there's a lot of people out there at the moment, across all aspects of everything, of fitness, business, whatever, where they don't feel like what they're doing is good enough, or they're seeking approval from certain people. And when it comes to you personally, who has been your biggest support, and how has that helped you?
I really like what you said about, people are looking for validation from people and always feeling like they're not good enough. And also, a lot of people are feeling like they're not happy, they're not doing what they want to do, and they kind of just leave it there. And for me, I always try to preach and also practice this in my life, like finding my own fulfillment and just in myself, because no matter how many people tell you how great you are, if you don't believe it, you can't even hear them. But my greatest support has definitely, I think that although mental health is definitely being talked about, there's still a huge stigma around getting assistance, getting help. And I find that to be definitely understandable, but a disappointment, because the reason why I am the way I am today is because I reached out my hand and started going to therapy, and I'm the hugest advocate for therapy. And I think my therapist, her name's Melanie, and I honestly think she's just like Jesus reincarnate. I think that she speaks to me, to my soul, to the core, and I don't know how she does it, because, therapists are just humans too, and they see a lot of different people, and for her to be able to pull so much strength out of me is unbelievable. And even yesterday we had a session, and at the end of it, this never happens because therapists are never really supposed to talk about their feelings, or be vulnerable. And we had a moment that we were both crying at the end, and she said, "You really inspired me." And I was just like felt like I had just melted to the floor. Like this person that I look up to so much just said I'm an inspiration and I've come so far, and that she said I've been able to help her see things in her. And I was like, that feels like that was my life goal. No, it wasn't, but I think her, Melanie, I would actually have to give her the most credit. Like I have a very loving and supportive family, but also families and your friends, if they don't understand the issue, it takes them a while to get it,
Mm, sure.
and or even want to get it. And anyone who has shown any interest or care for me to want to know more, I appreciate every one of them, because hell, I didn't know anything. I had to force myself to learn.
That was episode 37 of the Fit Pro Podcast, part one of our interview with Kelly. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, make sure you head to fitpropodcast.com, as well as the Facebook page /FitProPod. And we are also on Twitter. Twitter is where I hang out all day, every day. If you want to if you want to get in contact with me, I'm struggling with my words, people. I am so damn sorry. Make sure you head to Twitter at FitPro Podcast. You can tweet me, we can talk, we can have a chat. I love speaking to all the listeners and fans of the FitPro Podcast. If you know any guests that would love to be on the show, or if you are a guest that would love to be on the show, tweet me. Let me know. I will get back to you ASAP, bro. And that's it. We are done for this episode 37. We are out. If you like what you heard, you want to hear more, fitpropodcast.com.